My dad gave my inheritance to charity. Then I learned why. I still remember the day he called me into his study and handed me an envelope I had been expecting. Since I turned 25, I opened it, expecting the usual check or maybe some stocks or bonds. But instead, it was empty except for a short letter that said he had donated everything to charity. I was stunned. I could not believe it. I spent the rest of the day in disbelief thinking maybe it was a joke or a mistake, but the truth hit me like a truck. This was real. Growing up, my dad had always been this mysterious figure. He worked long hours and rarely talked about money or his investments. I thought he just wanted me to work hard and earn my own way, but I always assumed that when the time came, he would leave something behind for me, like most dads do. I had plans for a house, a car, and even a small business in my mind. All of it was tied to the inheritance I thought I would get. Over the next few weeks, I became bitter. I resented him. I avoided calls and texts, and even stopped visiting him. I told my friends that he was unfair, that he had no idea how hard I had worked in school, and how much I had sacrificed for him to be proud of me. I would lie awake at night imagining confronting him, yelling at him, asking why he would rather give my money to strangers than to his own family. Then one evening, I was cleaning out his office because he had asked me to sort some old papers when I found a thick folder labeled charity audits. I flipped it open and began reading the letters and emails from various organizations. The moment I read the first one, everything changed. They were letters from families of sick children struggling to pay for treatments, from schools in poor neighborhoods, from disaster relief programs in areas I had never even heard of. Each letter explained how the donation had saved lives. In some cases, it had literally kept a family from losing everything. I sat there in silence, tears running down my face, and I realized that the inheritance I thought was mine had actually created a ripple effect, helping hundreds of people I had never imagined could be helped. The next day, I sat down with him finally and asked why he never told me anything, why he never even mentioned this to me. He looked at me and said that he wanted me to understand that money is fleeting, but impact is lasting. He told me that when he made the decision, he thought about the kind of legacy he wanted to leave, not just for the world, but for me too, to teach me a lesson in gratitude, humility, and responsibility. At first, I felt angry that he had kept me in the dark, but slowly, I began to understand it was more than money. It was a life lesson. Months later, I visited one of the schools that had received a donation. It was amazing to see children learning in classrooms that had been falling apart before the funds came in. I realized that while I had been angry at him, I had been missing the bigger picture. I had been focused on my own disappointment instead of seeing the good that had been done. I even met a teacher who told me how much it meant to her students and her community. I felt proud in a way I had never felt before, and I understood finally what he had meant about impact being more important than inheritance. So here I am now looking back. I still feel a little twinge of anger when I remember opening that envelope, but it is mixed with awe and gratitude. I keep thinking about how different my life could have been if I had just asked questions instead of assuming the worst. I guess my dad knew what he was doing all along, and in his own quiet way, he taught me something that no amount of money ever could have. And I wonder sometimes if I had been given the inheritance, would I have really understood its value, or would I have just spent it and never learned what real impact means? So what would you do if your inheritance disappeared overnight? Would you be angry like I was, or would you try to see the bigger picture?